I often discuss with friends in China, and most people find it hard to understand why India, with such a superior geographical location, has developed into the terrible situation it is in today. The Indian subcontinent juts into the Indian Ocean, with a humid climate and vast arable land. Except for China, it has no strong enemies around it, and the part bordering China is in China's frontier region, where China's attention is clearly insufficient. Although India's land area is only one-third of China's, its arable land exceeds China's, and crops can be planted and harvested year-round. Netizens joke that throwing anything into the ground will grow enough food. With no severe cold throughout the year, people have no risk of freezing to death. In 12 months, can't they find a way to feed themselves? Yet the reality is that over half of the world's extremely poor population is in India. India also has the highest illiteracy rate among major countries. In the G20, India's per capita GDP is undoubtedly at the bottom. To this day, hundreds of millions of people in India rely on government food aid to survive, and child hunger and malnutrition are widespread. Since entering the 21st century, when the West began hyping the China threat theory, the media has enthusiastically promoted India. However, after more than 20 years, India remains in this terrible state. Even after the politician who boasts the most in human history, Modi, has been in power for 11 years. According to BJP's original plan, India was supposed to become a developed country by 2030. Now 2025 is almost over, yet India is still a global laughingstock. What exactly is going on? In fact, if one calms down to think about it, one will discover that India is located in the north-central part of the Indian Ocean, connecting Southeast Asia with the Middle East and Africa. If it maintains friendly relations with neighboring countries, establishes a regional free trade zone, and focuses on economic construction, India's development potential would be greater than China's. At the very least, importing energy from the Middle East would be more convenient, safer, and cheaper for India than for China. India has a huge domestic population, and its neighboring countries also have large populations, but they cannot rival India in scale. As long as regional economic integration occurs, India would undoubtedly become the core of South Asia, with influence easily extending to Eastern Africa, the Middle East, Southeast Asia, and Australia. However, India's elites do not care about the country's economic backwardness. The long-standing caste culture makes them indifferent to the lives of the lower classes. The ignorance brought by caste culture also makes the lower classes very submissive to the privileged high caste layers. These people do not think about resisting the powerful to improve their lives, but instead indulge in the great power dreams boasted by the elites. They support the government in investing limited resources into external expansion and conflicts with neighboring countries. After independence, India inherited British colonial expansionism, transforming from a victim of colonialism into a perpetrator. It annexed several small princely states, seized Goa from Portugal, and later even annexed Sikkim. It also fought border wars with China and has ongoing conflicts with Pakistan, becoming archenemies. Even Bangladesh, which gained independence with India's help, maintains strong wariness toward India, and relations between the two countries are very tense. But to be honest, after the Third India-Pakistan War ended, the Indian government began to realize the problems. Through the SAARC organization, India tried to get along friendly with its neighbors and made some progress. Honestly, as long as it stimulates economic development and improves people's living standards, grudges between countries can be resolved in some way. However, India's efforts came to an end with the rise to power of the biggest liar in human history, Modi. As a BJP leader cultivated by the Indian fascist organization RSS, Modi had stains of genocide during his time in Gujarat and was even sanctioned with a U.S. visa ban for it, which was lifted only after he became prime minister. Modi rose by faking economic data, promoting radical Hinduism, and inciting hatred among Hindus toward Muslims. His election doomed India's relations with Pakistan, Bangladesh, and other Muslim countries to tension. As expected, after taking office, Modi constantly boasted and exaggerated India's strength, making Hindus believe India was already a world superpower. He persecuted Muslims and took a harder line against Pakistan. Modi's stupidity also led India to gradually abandon Russia, a major country that had long supported India, and join the Western camp. He even visited Kiev after the Russia-Ukraine conflict broke out to show friendship with Zelensky. India insisted on buying Russian oil with rupees, betraying its ally when Russia was at its weakest, causing India's international credibility to hit rock bottom. At the same time, under Modi's rule, India acted as a free lapdog for the US, provoking China, which led to India being humiliated by China in the 2020 Galwan conflict. Modi and BJP had to fabricate news claiming they won. Then, in 2025, Modi concocted a conspiracy to attack Pakistan, but the Indian Air Force was unilaterally crushed by Pakistan in the engagement, losing a large number of advanced fighter jets and becoming a global laughingstock. Furthermore, after Israel's raid on Iran, India not only failed to fulfill its obligations as a strategic partner, but also refused to join other SCO members in condemning Israel. Even many Indians were caught spying for Mossad. Within the BRICS organization, India refused to promote de-dollarization with other countries, hoping to gain US favor. Indian officials even shamelessly stated that if BRICS de-dollarization fails, Washington should first thank New Delhi's support. It can be said that under Modi's leadership, India has taken shamelessness and betrayal to the extreme, directly causing no country in the world to dare trust India. Yet tragically, Modi's lapdog behavior did not win favor from Western countries. After the India-Pakistan air battle broke out, numerous Western media reported India's crushing defeat. Indian propaganda teams sent around the world to swear victory were wildly mocked. Mainstream media like the New York Times and professional outlets like the UK Air Force Monthly all reported India's comical behavior. US President Trump even stated multiple times in public that India had 5 to 8 fighter jets shot down. Moreover, the US imposed 50% tariffs on India, harsher than on China. In panic, Modi flew to Tianjin to kiss Xi Jinping's ass, but she despised him and gave no opening. China only symbolically improved relations with India and eased sanctions, but China's cooperation with Pakistan and Bangladesh continued to advance. China is even training astronauts for Pakistan and sharing cutting-edge technology with it. It can be said that India turned an excellent national environment into the worst possible one. It was supposed to become the economic, cultural, and political center of the Indian Ocean, but now it has become an isolated island on Earth. During the final window for Recep's establishment, Modi's exorbitant demands led to unanimous rejection by other members, further worsening India's isolation. Modi even wants to form free trade zones with the UK and EU. His brain is simply broken. Not to mention that India's industries cannot compete with Europe and would become a dumping ground for European companies. The key issue is that India has nothing to sell to Europe, in goods or services. Travel from India to Europe is not convenient either, as it passes through the Middle East, which is Muslim territory. Southeast Asian countries, under China's influence, are strengthening economic ties with Australia and New Zealand. ASEAN's economy was already better than India's, and now it has caught the last train of industrialization. In the future, it will not be India influencing Southeast Asia, but Southeast Asian enterprises influencing India. Trump is now promoting white supremacy domestically and opposing immigration. Indians have dominated Silicon Valley for years, causing US tech decline, and Americans are reflecting on this. The recent trend is that Chinese descendants are becoming active in Silicon Valley and gaining more voice. For India, the worst thing is not that the US is too far away, but that Americans' recognition of India is getting lower. Perhaps for Modi, he no longer cares about India's future and is more concerned with his own and BJP's future. After all, as long as he keeps boasting and has Gaudy media and Bollywood maintain the lies, he can stay in power. India is already a shithole anyway, so he does not worry about it getting worse. Instead, I want to remind Pakistan, Bangladesh, and other Indian neighbors to strengthen their armaments and prevent becoming targets of Modi's provocations, since he needs to constantly create conflicts to divert domestic attention. Muslims inside India should also protect themselves and prepare for possible troubles at any time.